Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry episode 4. So last time George and Jessica here started their test, right? And they made their answers, or they had their answers, they said them, and it seems like we're gonna have a fight now. Let's see what's gonna happen. Can they protect themselves from Ronove and Gap? Let's see. Let's continue. With the music like this, yeah, I think it's gonna be very exciting.
次期当主としての回答は別だぜ。
お伺いしますよ。
大好きな人も家族も親族もみんな私が守る。私が当主ならそれは私の責務だ。お父さんは威張ってるだけじゃない。
Dad wasn't just swaggering around.
私や母さんを守ってた。後宮家を受け継ぐ重圧ってやつと何十年も戦ってた。だからわかるぜ。次期当主ってのはな、軽くねえんだよ。だからさ、捨てられるんだよ。自分の命くらい簡単にかけられちまうんだよ。
Jessica knew. She knew that in order to protect their family, her father had bluffed and fought alone continuously. Jessica understood as something that his back had been telling her. Another left straight was buried into Ronove's space. That terrifying strike wasn't due to the brass knuckles she was using. Okay. It was a strike of a person, a family head, who could throw away everything in order to protect.
父さんが次期当主の資格を失ったなら、順当に次の当主は私が継承するぜ。後宮家当主、後宮ジェシカ。
But yeah, honestly, them showing up like this? I mean, we're seeing Jessica now acting like she's really a successor. Like, we haven't seen her like this, I mean, so this is pretty cool.
これ以上好きにさせるほどふぬけちゃいねえぜ。
素晴らしい回答です。先ほどの点数を改めましょう。その回答に10点プラス。
Plus 10 for that answer.
見事な左ストレートに10点プラス。
ってことは、あと20点プラスで100点満点だな。
As Ronove jumped backwards, somersaulting in midair, he violently wiped away the blood pouring from his nose. Yeah, it had become not blood but petals of rose. The blood on his face was wiped off, and in its place was a grin filled with a delight he hadn't felt in so many centuries that he couldn't remember.
ジェシカ様の覚悟、満点に値するかどうか、この炉の上、試させていただきますよ。
うぜえぜ、かかってきやがれ。おいで、奈落へ。
Okay, here we come. Gop's time. Gop and George. But yeah, for George though, I mean, I guess Ava is Ava is really good in martial arts, right? So George probably has some of that as well, right? Maybe he learned from Ava. Suddenly beneath George's feet, a pitch black pitfall opened its mouth wide. Of course, George had no way of resisting. After being swallowed up by that, George fell out of a pitch black hole that had opened up in the ceiling of the arbor. As George fell down, look at that. He was hit by a reverse roundhouse kick from a sharp stiletto heel, like a strike from a carefully aimed bee. The instant George, after being blown out of the arbor, thought that he'd be swallowed up by a rosebush. Another pitch black hole opened there and swallowed George up. Gop's powers is kinda OP, honestly. And this time, a pitch black hole opened at Gop's feet before her eyes, spinning a defenseless George out of it. At that time, Gaap had already finished the preparatory motions for the next reverse roundhouse kick. Like, how can you even punch her, for example? Like, she could literally just open a portal in front of her, and then yes, like you could punch yourself, right? I guess. Can you even do that? Like, for example, George punched her, and then when he punched her, she opens a portal. His hand goes through the portal, and then maybe open a portal next to his face. Could that be possible though? Maybe. There's a lot of blood. Right side of the head, below the right armpit, side of the right knee. As Gaap danced and spun like a small cyclone, she kept hitting him left foot, right foot with successive roundhouse kicks. The fourth one became a sweep, cutting George's feet out from under him and making him fall down. But of course, there was no floor there but a pitch black hole, and George was swallowed up once again. Gaap once again spun around like a small cyclone. George was once again spat out from the ceiling of the arbor.
食らって噛みしめなさい。奈落の終点が一撃。死ね！
The sharp strike of the Queen's Bee pierced the heavens like a rising cyclone. So if you know X-Men, right? And if you know Blink, I think Blink's powers is the same as Gaap. Yeah, because she can create like portals and stuff like that yeah, you can go to different areas. Like, so useful if you know how to use it. It kicked through George's lower chest as he fell from the ceiling. And then time froze. George was pinned in mid-air by Gaap's raised leg. Still pinned in mid-air, George moaned. I think for Gaap, she's very hard to fight because of her powers alone. Then Gaap, with George still hung up on her foot, grinned.
認めてあげるわ。君の態度だけは一人前よ。でも、力が伴わなきゃダメだわ。知ってる？この世を滑るには3つの力が必要だそうよ。一つは権力。
Three powers. Influence.
一つは財力。
Wealth.
最後は何か知ってる？
Influence, wealth, and what?
本で読んだよ。暴力だろ。
正解。君にはそれが足りないわ。
Gaap finally released George. She kicked upwards one more time, changing into another roundhouse kick and knocking him into a pillar.
「権力を伴わない王者にも財力を伴わない王者にもそして暴力を伴わない王者にも人は誰も恐れない」。金蔵はその3つを兼ね備えたわ。だからこそ暴君として君臨した。君も金蔵の後継者を名乗るならばその貫禄を見せてごらんなさい。ほら、いつまで寝ているの？立ちなさい。じゃないとまた落ちるわよ。
悪くない動きですよ。しかしレディには少々ふさわしくないかと存じますよ。
Dude, I wonder how this is gonna end though. I wonder. Okay, we're actually seeing her wearing the brass knuckles there.
ひょろひょろとちょこまかと反撃してこねえのかよなめてんのかうぜえやつ
Runaway dodged skillfully, jumped back, and avoided Jessica's fist. But he still didn't strike back himself. Because of his dodge that was as rapid as a fluttering flag blown by strong winds, Jessica's fist wasn't even able to touch him. But then again, I guess we had a fight in the what was it, the third game? I think it was the third game, right? With Kyrie, Rudolph versus some of the sticks, right? And they technically they won, right? But I mean, those two are different though. Can these two win? And these are much more powerful demons though. Yeah, these two, Gaap and Runaway, are much more powerful. Even though this room was large for a bedroom, it was a very cramped place to keep up such exaggerated dodges in for long. She calmly realized that and started using not just her fists but her legs as well.
ほう、ボクシングは腕でやるだけのうちは半人前です。腕は熱く吠えたける獅子のように、そして足は冷たく獲物を狙って追い詰める蛇のように。
蛇に足はねえぜ
確かに。
Jessica began cornering Runaway towards a wall with a perfect footwork. She didn't let him get around her. Runaway's magnificent dodges looked flashy, but they needed a large footing. Once cornered, he wouldn't be able to dodge anymore. Jessica knew the characteristics of her weapon, the brass knuckles, very well. This powerful weapon's most notable characteristics was how it didn't give the opponent a chance to defend. Even if they blocked with their arm, that arm received direct damage. Yeah, because I just love brawlers, honestly. Whenever I play a different game, when there's like a class system, I always look for a class that has knuckles. Knuckles, basically brawlers, basically. Because it's just so cool for them to fight like that. If it hit the wrong way, it might even break the bone. She cornered him. With his fist, she'd whittle away at his demon, who'd lost any way to escape.
おっと、おや、いつの間に。
ようやく追い詰めたぜみんなを捕らえている場所はどこだクソジジイのいる場所はどこだ洗いざらい喋ったらそのヒゲをむしり取るだけで勘弁してやるぜ
それは困ります。これでもセットに毎朝1時間をかけているのですから。
ギブスの世話になったらそれもできね
おっと。
Runaway had blocked Jessica's fist with his arm. He tried to act as though it was no big deal, but it must have hurt a lot. Jessica grinned. Runaway smiled the same way, but twitched slightly.
なるほど。これは確かに痛いですね。
最終勧告泣いて詫びろ
それはできませんね。キャラが崩れます。
ならお前が崩れ落ちるといいぜ鶴瓶打ちだ
Rapid fire. Jessica's fists were buried into Runaway, but there was a resistance that seemed too hard and the sound of breaking glass which startled Jessica. At a glance, it looked like Runaway had caught Jessica's fist with his palm. That wasn't quite true. When Runaway opened his hand, a faint purple glowing barrier like a glass shield appeared, stopping the attack by a hair's breadth. Pulling herself together, Jessica let her fist fly again, but with a truly magnificent gesture, Aronovich caught all of them.
悪魔ですので、この程度の魔法くらいは。それにしてもなかなかやりますね。人間だったら私はここで降参だったでしょう。悪魔だからまだ戦い続けることができる。
おかしな真似を。
それで終わりですか？攻撃を繰り出すばかりでご自身の防御がおろそかではありませんか？
え？
Aronovich's palm shot to within a hair's breadth of Jessica's stomach. Jessica was knocked away, but a purple shield rolled backwards and smashed her head on the bed.
人間ごときに私のシールドは破れませんよ。もう二度と私の体に触れることができると思わぬことです。
ならよ、そのシールドごとぶち抜いてやるぜ。
不屈な方だ。その根性、なるほど。次期当主として実にふさわしい。もう少しお相手させていただきましょうかね。これも試験官の役得です。
砕けろ
Gop looked down on George, sneering. George was on a path in the rose garden, lying face down in a puddle. The merciless rain beat down on him, so that it looked as though even the heavens were mocking him.
立ちなさい。また落ちるわよ。
George stood up quickly, or shakily, I mean. It seemed the spirits hadn't given in, but the damage done to his body was fairly significant.
命乞いなさい。君のしていることは何も選ばない4番目の選択肢に同じ。君が選んだのは3番目の選択肢でしょ？
I think for Gop, you can only defeat her if there are like multiple people fighting her. Like for one-on-one, she could just repeatedly open portals, right? And then you cannot even get close to her. So how can George even? I don't know. We'll see.
両手両膝をついて詫びれば私への比例を許してあげるわ。そしたら君を地下牢へ案内してあげる。そこで君は愛するシャノンと非力な自分のために他の人質たちを一人ずつ殺していくの。できるわよね。その覚悟はあると君は豪語したわ。
George didn't answer, but his gaze was still obstinately resisting surrender.
あまり強情が過ぎると今度こそなら
Gop's strength was evident. That was probably clear even more than it was to George himself. To Shannon's group watching through the three-sided mirror.
庄司様。もう、やめて。私なんかのために。
姉さん。
私 私のことなんて好きにならなければ、ジョージ様は誰とも戦わなくていいんでしょう。なら、私なんて捨ててください。忘れてください。
There was no way that voice could have reached George. But even so, George answered.
嫌だね。僕は屈服しない。
へえ、どうして？
それが僕の覚悟だからだ。僕はシャノンのために全てと戦う。そして全てに認めさせ、全てに僕たちを祝福させる。
ねえ、聞かせて。どうしてあのシャノンとかいう家具のためにそこまで言えるの？あんなのただの出来損ないじゃない。給仕一つ満足にできないガラクタ家具だわ。
愛する女性への暴言を僕はそれ以上許さない。
だったら何？ひ弱な僕ちゃんが私にどう抗うというのかしら。
人を愛するとは強さだ。それを知ったから僕は強くなれた。シャノン、僕は君を愛している。その言葉だけで僕は何度でも立ち上がれるんだ。
シャノンは力よ。私に愛を語られても。
いや、伝わった。それが愛だからだ。シャノンには今僕の言葉が聞こえているよ。そうだと信じられることこそが愛だ。
こいつ。
シャノン、君は家具なんかじゃない。家具だったとしても世界でただ一つの僕だけの家具だ。生涯僕と寄り添ってほしい。僕には君が永遠に必要だ。
ジョージ様。
焼けるわ。口説きならうちの人を超えたわね。
I wonder if Ava was here. What her reaction is. I wanted Ava to be here, man. They should have killed Dr. Nanja instead. He's not doing anything here. We could have had Ava here. And then we could have seen, her reaction to what George is saying.
若さですな。
Okay, he has a role. He heard me and he's like, okay, I need to say something.
愛が強さなら坊やはどうしてそんなにひ弱なの？その弱さがつまり君の愛の程度なわけね。婚約者への愛もひ弱。両親のあっけない死に様もひ弱。君の人生は何から何までひ弱だわ。
But honestly, I thought Ava would survive there because she was actually she fought a little bit, right? But then she got shot and then it was done. It was just like that. Like I think for the Oshinomiya family, like she was the best fighter and because she knows martial arts, right? But she got taken out quite easily.
シャノンは僕に愛と強さを教えてくれた。もし君が僕の強さだけでシャノンへの愛を確かめようというのなら僕の愛を教えよ
う。言うわね。なるほど。 何度も蹴り倒されて転がされ、それでも立ち上がるのがシャノンからもらった強さだと。ならあっけなく殺されたあんたのお父さんとお母さんからは何をもらったの？
At that time, there was a blackout. Even though they were outside,
違う。これは。
the thing blocking Gop's vision was the bottom of George's shoe.
側頭蹴り、尾骨骨折。
It had stopped right in front of the tip of Gop's nose.
母さんにもらったものはこの蹴りだ。
Several moments after, Gop jumped back. Of course, that was too late. If George hadn't stopped, he would probably have caused the damage he'd announced.
そして父さんにもらったのが忍耐力。
Damn, I like how George is standing here. Anger with a low boiling point isn't something to be truly feared. True anger is disciplined by fortitude, so Jessica fights with her fist and then George fights with his legs.
君の暴力的意思表示は理解した。
Or with kicks, I mean kicks.
また婚約者と両親への名誉毀損も理解した。そしてそれを撤回する気がないんだね。
こいつ。
君の攻撃はもう十分に理解したから、そろそろいいかな、反撃しても。
ほざくな、坊やの分際で。
A pitch black hole opened its mouth at George's feet. But George rapidly opened his legs, straddling the hole. The same move won't work again. It was an extremely smooth dodge, and the upper part of his body didn't even quiver.
忍耐とは熱くならず冷静に相手の出方を研究することだ。何のために？決まってるじゃないか。わかるかい？
わかんないわよ。
反撃してきっちり借りを返し、二度とちょっかいを出したくないと思わせ、涙と鼻水で顔面をぐちゃぐちゃにして、それを拭うのを忘れて、額を地面にこすりつけて何度も謝りたくなるほどに、完膚なきまでに完璧に徹底的に叩きのめすためだよ。
George dashed. Pitfalls opened one after another, but George didn't step in them again. And because he was persistent, he was able to reach Gaop a second time.
後ろ回し蹴り、
Oh, Ushiro, yeah, reverse roundhouse.
顎部骨折。
Yes, he. No, I like how he's saying the type of kick he's doing. It was stretched out more forcefully and beautifully than Gaop's had been. Of course, while it centered directly on Gaop's face, it stopped a hair's breadth away. Perhaps she couldn't rely on pitfalls this close of a range. I guess. Gaop kicked George's shins as a diversion. And in instant of weakness when he tried to deal with that, she aimed a kick at his stomach. It was a bee-like stab by her stiletto heel. George, but it sliced through the air where George no longer was.
上段かかと落とし、
High axe kick.
鎖骨骨折。
By Gaop's side, George calmly announced that his foot still raised. If that monarch's heel had swung down, a collarbone fracture would probably have been the least of her worries.
こいつ至近じゃ私より強いの。距離を。
She jumped backwards to open a large gap between them. She jumped and leapt and even flipped in mid-air, increasing that distance. It should have been magnificent, but for some reason it was very similar to the movements of a small, scared animal. If she opened the distance between them, she'd be able to fight at the range that was her specialty, using a mixture of pitfalls and kicking techniques.
バカが私を倒せるチャンスを3度も逃した傲慢。奈落。
When she magnificently landed and tried to aim a pitfall, a razor-sharp wind cut Gaop's bangs. Yes, it cut them. It happened twice. This time, it didn't just stop a hair's breadth away, but scattered her bangs with its air pressure.
アルマーダ・コン・マルテーロ第1撃で眼底骨折第2撃で脳挫傷
It actually looks like George is winning right now. And it actually looks like he is winning. Gaop was too shocked to speak. George had closed in over all that distance in an instant, letting off a fearsomely nimble mid-air double kick. Furthermore, with the accuracy and edge of a razor, it had cut nothing more than several of her bangs.
空手で蹴りの威力をテコンドーで速度
Kicks from karate, speed from taekwondo,
カポエイラでは自在の間合いを学んだ
even capoeira.
母さんがいろいろと移り気でねでもいろいろと特徴を学べて勉強になったよ
なぜ当てない。
Can you imagine Rosa doing capoeira? Or Ava, I mean. Ava doing capoeira.
私が女だからとでも言うのか。
君は王者の力として3つ目に暴力と言ったね君はどうやらまだその暴力の意味を誤解しているようだこの場合の暴力とはね短絡的に振るわれる乱暴のことを言うんじゃない敵対すれば無傷では済まないという抑止のことを指すんだよ
抑止だと。
In short, this is what it meant. This was why all of George's attack up until then had stopped a hair's breadth away. These bare misses, which were more difficult than hitting directly, had all been performed so splendidly. Also, if George had wished it, any one of those would probably have crushed Gaop. He had daringly not done that.
君も言ったろ暴力は滑る力だと暴力で相手を破壊してしまったら滑られないじゃないか王者の暴力とはね見せるだけなんだよ破壊しない屈服させて自らの財産とするんだからね君に泡でも吹かれたらみんなの囚われてる場所に案内させられないよ
Gaop had to admit it. She had to admit that George understood force in its truest sense.
みんなのところへ案内してもらうよ抵抗はおすすめしないもう寸止めはしないよ
ごめんねリア。あんたの兵隊借りさせて。
Leah, Virgilia, let me borrow your troops.
私一人じゃ手に負えないわこいつ。
Oh, she actually can't handle him. So the goats are gonna come. Okay, the goats are here. As a large pitch black hole opened in the sky, 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. They surrounded George.
増援会 それは僕がひ弱であることを撤回したと受け止めていいのかな？
He's not surprised anymore. He's like, okay, we have 3 enemies here. It doesn't matter if they look like goats.
認めるわ。あんたの人間の力を侮ってたわ。
違うね。これが愛を覚えた男の強さなのさ。
ほざけ！臭いことをシャーシャーと。さあヤギたち、その男を潰して肉団子にしてやりなさい。このヤギたちはバカだけどパワーだけはあるみたいよ。
These goats are stupid, but it looks like they have at least power.
あんたの死体、婚約者にも見分けがつかなくしてあげるわ。
降伏拒否並びに継戦の意思、了解したよ。以後は君の攻撃に等しい分だけ君に実害が及ぶことを宣言する。僕をまだ攻撃するつもりなら相応の損害を受けることになると覚悟するがいいよ。
When George proclaimed then, a faint red magic circle rose up around him. It seemed that George couldn't see it. However, Gaop, being a demon, could.
魔法？どうしてこいつが防御結界を？しかもそれ反撃特化？それがあんたの抑止という意味。
From a demon's perspective, it may have been magic. But in George's eyes, it was determination. It was a determination filled with certainty, which could be merciless to anyone who wished to fight anymore, and which would force them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Determination with certainty becomes magic. I like these scenes, man. These scenes are good. They're giving us a hope for the characters. But I think, I guess everyone would think that what would happen, or the aftermath of this, everyone knows. But at least they're giving this to us. Ronove had been accurately blocking Jessica's fist with his shield, but something felt odd. Even though he was certainly catching them on the shield, he felt his arm get jarred and it hurt. But if they actually win this, I'm gonna be so surprised, I'm not gonna lie. If they actually win this, it should have prevented all physical damage. It looks like the demons are struggling right now, but who knows, right? However, the damage from her fists was gradually being transmitted to his arm, piling up. Ronove tried to act like he was composed so that this wouldn't be noticed.
私はバテねえぜ。どうしたよおっさん。ちっとは答えてきたかよ。
いくら攻撃しようとも無駄ですよ。私のシールドはあなたには砕けないとどうしてわからないのです？
砕けないからってよ、殴るのをやめはしないぜ。どんな固い心にだって言葉はわずかずつ響き、やがてはひびを入れることだってできるんだ。私は信じてる。この世に無駄な努力なんて存在しないってな。だから生きるんだろ、思いっきり。言葉だっていつか通じるなら拳だって同じってことだぜ。私の辞書には諦めるって文字は書いちゃいねえんだぜ。ふんふんてっ。
Those words were probably aimed at Kanon. Kanon, who had seemed to reject Jessica's word. But Jessica knew that, no matter how stubborn his heart was, those words eventually soaked through. She believed that they would surely reach his heart, that the day would come when he would stop calling himself furniture and disparaging himself, and that he'd step out into a new life. So Jessica didn't give up. She didn't lose heart.
バカみてえだろ。男には理解できねえだろ。恋する乙女ってのはな、無駄だから諦めるって考えがねえんだぜ。
At that time, Ronovich certainly saw. He saw the reddish glow of light that encircled Jessica's fist. What, she can use magic?
これは参りました。エンチャントですか。
Wait, can she actually use magic? What?
浸透付与とは厄介な。
I mean, if they can use magic, there's a chance. Inside her unrelenting fists and determination dwelled the power to succeed no matter what, or like magic is showing because yes, their resolve is so strong to win. Like, yeah, the power is bursting out. From a demon's perspective, that was magic. Determination with certainty becomes magic, yeah.
な、無駄なんてことはねえだろ。
Like, Jessica's determination to win is, yeah, she's unlocking a new power.
通ってんだろ、私の拳。腕をかばってるぜ、おっさん。
もう少し本気を出さざるを得ないようですね。おっしゃる通りのようです。この世に無駄なことなどない。
そうさ、無駄なんて諦めたらそこで人生が終わっちまうぜ。通じるんだよ、絶対に。
I'm an idiot, so this is the only way I can live. But even so, I'm sure I'll be able to teach Kanon-kun about a new world someday. So I'm not gonna lose heart in a place like this. I'll definitely defeat you and save everyone.
くそ、なんとか隙間を。
Damn. Imagine that your daughter is fighting for her life and you can't even do anything because you're in a prison right here. And then you're watching her do that, right? Krauss was repeating his useless effort to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. Nothing is useless. There's nothing. The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pitfalls and disappeared. Now was their once in a lifetime chance. But yeah, isn't like even if the goats were not here, Virgilia is still here, right? This was their only chance to break the bars.
よせ、無茶だ。クラウスさん。
Nanjo-san.
素手でどうにかなるもんじゃない。道具を探しましょう。無茶をするんじゃない。
If there was a tool inside of that place, you found it already, but there's nothing.
無駄と諦めたらそれまでと娘に言われてしまった。私の体は無理でも小柄なシャノンかカノンが抜けられれば。
この段階に至っては出ない知恵を絞るより行動あるのみね。力を合わせましょう。私もやるわ。カノン君、男の子でしょ。手を貸して。カノン君？
Kanon-kun, you're a boy, aren't you? What is this? Lend a hand. What, is he crying or what?
旦那様、
Oh yeah, but yeah, he can use his sword.
下がってください。
何をする気だ。
いいよね、姉さん。もう一度だけあがいても。
私ももう一度だけあがくよ。一度だけじゃない。何度でも。
I think for one-on-one, or like the battles Kanon had in the other episodes, right? Like he was doing fine with one-on-one, but when the stakes came, yeah, it was pretty much a lot of them at the same time. Or if we defeated one, for example, And then yeah, a couple would come there. So that's why he always gets defeated. But this time around, I don't remember actually how it happened in the third episode and how he fought. I forgot. But yeah, he lost there as well. But here, Virgilia is right there. So it's dangerous still. But Shannon is here. Jessica's voice had reached Canon. It had certainly permeated into his cold, rock-like heart. And George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have to respond in the same way. An incredible metal sound rang out. In the first flash, several metal bars were severed horizontally, and in the next flash, they severed horizontally again, causing many metal bars to clatter to the ground like bamboo shoots cut by a sword. Kraus, Kyrie, and Nanjo didn't have a clue what had just happened.
南條先生、お屋敷や廊下をどっちに？
左奥だ、左奥。
参りましょう、旦那様方。すぐにワルギリア様に気づかれます。
あんたたちは一体何なの？
僕たちは。
When Kanon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke.
私たちは人間です。ワルギリア様！警戒網に反応、脱獄です。なぜか見張りのヤギがいません。
どうしてです？
Oh, so Virgilia was not there. Okay, I thought Virgilia was standing by.
ガープですね。人の召喚物を勝手に。ガップ。ガップガップ。
Gap gap.
交戦規定確認。
She's making the name shorter as well.
脱走者への射殺許可を申請であります。
おやりなさい。やっちゃいなさい。
What was that sound?
ガップガップガップガップガップ。
了解であります。45、410追撃狙撃戦準備。
I like how they're making it like a little bit of comedy, but yeah, people are actually gonna die though.
弾手収束誘導弾。
Not comedy, but I'm making it a little bit funny with how Virgilia acted that way.
ワルギリア様、逃亡阻止結界を。
そうでしたね。ここから逃がしはしませんよ。
But honestly, why is this Virgilia so different? She's like the Virgilia that we first met in the second episode or the third episode. That was quite good, right? But in the end of that episode, she turned out to be bad. But now, like she's acting like normally like this again. What is happening?
ガプガプ言ってたら舌噛みました。
The underground passage in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was, of course, locked again. However, that was no problem for them now.
カノン、また鉄格子だ。頼む。
はい、旦那様。
Honestly, those Chester sisters
しかしすごいわ。
is such OP. Those characters are very, very OP. Like, you cannot really stop them when they shoot you. Like, it's impossible.
一体どういう原理なのかしら。
At least right now, I mean, at least right now. But can they do that?
原理なぞ興味ないね。大事なのは彼に鉄格子が切断できてここから脱出できることだけだ。気にするなカノン、やれ。
お任せを。
But Kanon sliced the metal bars again with his red curved blade. But there was a harsh, strange noise and the metal bars only had a slight scratch.
なんとこれは頑丈な。
違う。エンチャントされてる。ワルギリア様の魔法錠だ。
切断できる？
もちろん。でも時間をかけるよ。
3分間待ってやる。
After taking a deep breath and concentrating his mind, Kanon extended a red curved sword again. When he pressed it hard against the metal bars, sparks sprayed almost as though he was melting through it with a burner.
切断はできそうだが手こずりそうだな。
旦那様、敵に捕捉されました。下がってください。
追って。誰も来てないわよ。
私の後ろに下がってください。狙われてます。45データ治療。
Here we go again. This one.
標的は捕捉。地形誤差修正。
How do you even stop this?
射撃曲線形成。制御点補正完了。
I guess maybe you can stop this if you have like magic like Shannon's shield, right? But other than that, you cannot stop it.
410データリンク。410データ受領。危険区域確認。問題なし。
WO 師団装填48発。
Right,
個別誘導 F&F。
they should have added double O in this picture. Yeah, in the middle.
収束誘導弾準備完了。
45射撃準備完了。収束誘導弾装填。410にひひひ射撃。
A golden arrow that sparkled gold was fired, leaving a gold tail streaming behind it. It drew a curve, it went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs, towards the underground path at full speed.
何か光りましたぞ。
黄金の矢はシールドで防げない。
You can't block it.
カノン君迎撃態勢。リンクしよう。
ゲートキーパー了解。
Gatekeeper understood.
姉さんと一緒に戦うのは久しぶりだ。動じらないでよ。
本気でやる。
なら問題ない。
Kanon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind deep, deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow made up of 48 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini-arrows. The strength of each individual one is low, but they pierce through all shields and poses a perfect wounding killing power against personnel. And on top of that, each one of the 48 possesses autonomous guidance towards their individual targets.
光った。分裂した。
収束誘導弾分裂確認。師団46、7、8、48全弾捕捉。迎撃完成。カノンへデータリンク。
カノンデータ受領。姉さんの能力はすごいな。48発全部見える。
迎撃優先順位に注意。姉さんを信じて。
もちろんさ。僕は目を開ける必要さえない。
迎撃開始。
はあ
目標健在。迎撃されました。いや、48発全部。
シャノンとカノンはもともと一組の家具ですからね。揃うと手強いこと。あいたたた。これ口内炎になっちゃうかしら。
落ち着け。再装填。弾種を変更。精密高速狙撃弾。精密狙撃戦準備。
そりゃいいね。追撃不能の超高速弾。ゲートキーパーごときじゃ防御不能だに。精密狙撃戦了解。精密射撃用データ収集開始。
一体今のは何なんだ。
安心して、私にもさっぱりよ。一つわかるのは、二人に頼らなきゃ死んでたってことね。
カノン君、ありがとう。鉄格子に戻って。多分次のは迎撃できない弾が来る。
そんな攻撃をどう防ぐんだ。
撃たせません。カノン君、霊視線防備。
We don't let them shoot. Okay. At those words, Ikanon closed his eyes tightly and ground his teeth. With Shannon at the center, a pressure and impact that only non-humans could perceive is struck. An unseen, unheard impact had struck the Chester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down and covering their ears, but number 45 didn't make it in time. As she stood bolt upright, her eyes rolled.
45損傷。コンパイラのエンジンがいっちゃったよ。キャー、私もノイズがひどいに。
45、410、そして00損傷。狙撃戦を断念。リンクでもろに来た。再起動しないと。
Raising their spirit particles, sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released. And not only 45 had been hit directly, but also 00 and 410, who had been linked with her, were taken down. So they actually defeated them. Okay.
後でまた美味しい紅茶を入れてあげますからね。しっかり。
申し訳ございませんであります。再起動をかけます。数百秒ほどお待ちを。
All of the Chester sisters had fallen over. Actually, the enemy is losing right now. They would probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to battle lines for a little while.
家具が武具を一時的にとはいえ退けますか。なるほど。あの子の面白がる筋書きは実に大番狂わせが多いこと。
Okay, this is the Virgilia, the scary one. Virgilia toward the air with a large gesture, motioning as though opening a door.
さあさあおいでなさい。ヤギの従者たち。お仕事の時間ですよ。脱走者たちを殺して捕らえなさい。死体でいいのですよ。どうせ蘇生できるし。
A gold-colored door opened in the air and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out.
さあさあ急ぎなさい。脱走者は5人いるから5等賞までの早い者勝ち。
Fastest 5 of you win.
素敵なご褒美がありますよ。さあさあ頑張って頑張って。
Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. A prize. After facing each other with at those words, the goats all rushed to the door at once, trying to get out, making the exit as packed as the Tozai or the Yamanote rail lines in the morning. Each wanted to get out first, so none of them could get out. Like this is a very tension or a lot of big tense scene, but they're making it a little bit playful, a little bit funny. Virgilia held her head in frustration. By the time Kanon had managed to cut enough bars to make a crack, that could be slipped through. It had been a bit of work for Kraus, large as he was, and Nanjo with his little waist, but even so, they all managed to make it through. But after they did, they only had a couple seconds to be relieved. Immediately, another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them.
厳重ね。よっぽどここの人を逃がしたくなかったんでしょうね。
カノン、すまんがもう一度頼む。辛いだろうが頼む。
There was sweat on Kanon's forehead. You could tell at a glance that cutting the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, had physically exhausted him.
はい、お任せを、旦那様。
お前にしかできん。どうか頼む。
Only he could do it. Holding tightly onto those words, Kanon concentrated his mind once again and set himself to the task of cutting metal bars again.
後方、敵が来ます。複数。
ええ、今度は私たちにもわかるわ。すごい地響きね。
Okay, are we gonna see Kyrie fight?
とんでもない化け物が殺到してくるのがわかるわ。
ご安心を。今抜けた鉄格子を私が魔法杖で封鎖します。ヤギたちごときには破れません。
Shannon held her hand out towards the metal bars that they had gone through, but she stopped right away.
どうかしましたか？
What happened?
ワルギリア様が霊波妨害の中和を開始。破られるとまずい。シエスタ姉妹の再起動後のイニシアチブを奪われます。
可愛いウサギたちをいじめてくれたお返しはたっぷりとさせていただきますよ。この小賢しい霊視で優位に立とうというなら、それを丸ごと剥ぎ取って私が奪ってあげます。
姉さんは霊波妨害に集中して。あのヤギたちにその鉄格子の隙間は狭すぎる。しばらくは食い止めてくれるはず。
何を言っているかさっぱりだもん。
だいぶやばいってことだけは理解できたわ。
It's something pretty bad. Kirei picked up a metal bar that Kanon had just cut. Kraus had no weapons, but he rubbed his fist and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from.
この鉄格子で遮るものはおしまいのはずだ。ここから屋敷までどのくらいあるんです？かなり歩く。道は平坦だが30分は歩いた記憶が。
30 minutes walk. That's quite far, honestly. Yeah, that's quite far.
全力疾走ならその半分ってことだわ。
Because yeah, it's just a forest basically, right? Through the mansion. But yeah, it's quite a run. They couldn't tell for sure since they didn't have the three-sided mirror. But there was no guarantee that George and Jessica would still be alright against demon opponents after all this time. True?
歩く2倍の速度で走れば15分。さらにその2倍で走れば8分を切るわ。
さらにその倍の全力疾走なら5分かからん。問題ない。
むちゃくちゃな計算ですな。ですが火島の計算式はそういうものです。
申し訳ございません、旦那様方。後を頼みます。
任せたまえ。カノンは1秒でも早く鉄合しろ。シャノンはワルギリアとかいう魔女への妨害に専念したまえ。追っては私とキリエさんで防ぐ。
Then the roars of the beast rang out from the darkness, and several fiery glowing bright eyes, or bright red eyes, appeared. Goats that were several levels more massive than the guards were rushing with incredible force. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. They brought a frightening intensity and terror, but Kirei actually laughed with relief. I think these goats are much more easier for Kirei to defeat rather than the snakes. Yeah, because these are just goats. Sure, they can use the sword, like the magic sword, but they cannot technically be like the snakes that are much more harder to defeat. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the crack in the bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a fierce sound like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling, and you could tell that the metal bars had been bent as if collapsing. Their charging power probably was on par with a train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they would likely have overwhelmed the 5 of them and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressing up against the metal bars and noticed the 5 people right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl trying to intimidate the 5. Or maybe that was out of a pain from their game of push and shove. One calm goat among them figured out what should be done about the metal bars. Then grabbed 2 of them with its massive arms and began bending them as though opening the double doors. Kirei sharply jabbed their metal pole at the goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. It probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down, though. Still holding the metal pole she had stuck out, Kirei relinquished the opposite tip to Kraus. Kraus ran there with all his might, jumped up, and kicked down with all his weight and kicking power combined. All of that destructive power was focused on a single pole, drilling it in.
大丈夫ですかな。
Why is he talking to the goat?
幹部は揉まないように。お薬は後で処方しましょう。お大事に。
What is this? The comedy in this game, as the goat would take in a piled bunker to its vitals right with teary eyes, it nodded its head. It's like, okay, I'll come back to you, Dr. Nanjo.
私たちのリンクも結構いけるじゃない。シャノンちゃんたちには負けられないわ。
当然じゃないか。私たちは仲良し一族だからね。
For a loving family like us.
2人がかりでならいけるわ。次、右側のあいつ。
了解だ。いい嫁さんじゃないか。ルドルフめ、少し愚痴が多かったんじゃないか。
へえ、後で聞かせてもらうわ。ルドルフさん、天国で青くなっても手遅れよ。
The goats' massive bodies were buried in rose bushes. Even taking into account that a leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, this strength surpassed common sense. To think that those massive bodies had been kicked into the chin and flown through the air, it was too fierce. Even George seemed a little surprised.
僕の蹴りが化け物にも通用したとはね。
Okay, we're back with George. I was like, the goats, they're already in the garden? What?
驚きだよ。
あんたの反撃特化結界のせいよ。 グレイズした攻撃力をそのまま自らに上乗せしてる。あんたの蹴りにはその化け物どもの怪力が加算されてるのよ。
So when he's guarding, it adds to him, then he can hit them back with it. So like what was it anime again that uses the strength of the attack of an enemy? Was it 7 deadly sins? I think it was the 7 deadly sins, right? Meliodas. Whenever someone attacks him, then he has his sword, right? He can counter them and then it would deal twice the damage to them.
へえ、よくわからないけど僕にぴったりじゃないか。誰であろうとも攻撃してくるなら等しい反撃を覚悟してもらう。専守防衛、僕のポリシーそのものだ。
That's why Gaab couldn't easily touch him. The counterattack style barrier had no defensive power. However, because of its countering ability, it could be useful in a defense by making the opponent hesitate to attack. The goats had been foolish and so had attacked without worrying. But his second effect had worked in full against Gaab.
こいつらは単調だね。パワーが互角であるならば小柄な方が有利だ。
He lightly dodged the log-like arms. When those arms touched the barrier that protected George, they let off a strong red light. The tip of the countering foot would then gain the same sparkle, and the superhuman power of the goat added to its own power. The second goat fell forward and floated into the air for a second. Then George, next to his roundhouse kick, missed right over the falling goat's head. For an instant, the goat had hoped it might get away with its life. But no. A heel was dropped onto the back of its head and it was forced to kiss the ground.
上段回し蹴りからの練りチャギは基本だろ。
練りチャギ？
たまにやると結構当たるよ。
こいつ厄介だわ。マジで厄介だわ。
何が悪魔だ、何が魔女だ。六軒島の主人はこの後ろ宮家だよ。それを体で教えてやるよ。
こいつ。
The only way to finish George, now that his body's wrapped up in counterattack style barrier, was to deny him a chance to counterattack. Nothing to do but suck him into the abyss next, then kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him, until she kicked him to death. But George had already completely seen through the faint warning signs that told the appearance of Gaap's pitfalls. If he could jump over the next pitfall, then this time he would probably pulverize Gaap's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as he had done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. Gaap hated Kinzo more than ever for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Even though Runova held out a shield, he had to finally start using his hands. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to block Jessica's fist anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fist grew the more she fought. The permeating upgrade had already grown several times, and those fists had also been given an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, and a speed upgrade, making them fists worthy to fight on par with a demon. Look at this guy. He's not even doing anything, just standing there.
どうしたよ。へばってきたんじゃねえのかよ。動きが鈍ってきてるぜ。
いいえ、ジェシカ様の動きと思考、動体視力が飛躍的にエンチャントされているのです。私の動きは最初から変わっていませんよ。あなたの動きが私を捉えつつあるのです。
それでも反撃はしねえわけか。
これが私のこだわりですので。しかしこのままというわけにもいきますまい。そろそろ本気で終わりにさせてもらいますよ。
Ronova's face turned into an expression he hadn't shown before. It was full of respect for Jessica in a truly demonic way. Because it was an expression he only showed for enemies who made him get serious. With a gesture of his whole body that you couldn't call elegant, Ronova held out a shield with all his strength, a shield the size and thickness of a wall. It was more tenacious than a simple shield, it literally was a wall. And on top of that, with all of Ronova's magical power, it pushed Jessica back a bit. Did he plan on pushing her back against a wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid.
これがお前の本気かよ。上等だぜ。打ち砕いてやら
ー。今度はそうはさせませんよ。この壁は一味違います。どれ、私もエンチャントさせていただきましょう。
When Ronova made a magic sign almost like a ninja, the wall glowed red for just an instant and some kind of ominous power dwelt within it. Jessica was able to recognize that almost immediately with her body. Every time her fist hit the wall, pain as though glass fragments had scattered and hit all over her body rebounded against her.
攻撃反応装甲を付与させていただきました。ジェシカ様の攻撃を相殺することで威力を減退させ、のみならず反応破片で反撃までできる優れものです。殴り続けるのは大いに結構ですが、それは自らにも及びますよ。
つまりお前の壁と私の我慢比べってことかよ。上等だ。
ジェシカ様が膝をつくのが先か、壁に押し込まれるのが先か、見物させていただきましょう。
打ち破ってこの壁ごとお前の横っ面をぶっ飛ばす方が先かもな。見てやがれ。
Without hesitation, Jessica punched using both fists. Each time, she did a large amount of shards scattered, torturing her entire body. Instantly, several red gashes appeared all over her. She grimaced at the intense agony, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirit and her lips curved in a grin that stood in sharp contrast to the pain.
カノン、まだかね。私たちは平気だが、奴らを防ぐ鉄格子が平気ではなさそうだ。
もう少しです。
こいつらキリがないわ。おしくらまんじゅうだけで鉄格子を破りかねない。
The group of goats made the metal bars creak. Several arms grabbed the bars, twisting them with superhuman strength. However, some bars were pulled in opposite directions by different hands. Apparently, they were really stupid. The way those countless hands grabbed the metal bars sometimes happened to match up by chance. Several hands grasping two metal bars neatly put their power together and pulled the bars to the left and to the right. The incredible sound of metal bending could be heard, and that crack was getting larger by bit. They attacked the arms of the goats one by one, but they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't stop the gap from spreading from left to right. At that time, there was a loud metal sound behind him. Kanon had finally finished cutting.
早く。
キリエさんレディーファーストだ。南條先生も続いて。
旦那様、ここは僕に任せてください。これは
Kanon's red sword that had cut the metal bars disappeared.
ごめん。ワルギリア様の霊視線影響下に入った。私たちの魔力が中和されてる。
Okay, so we'll take a break here. Honestly, man, they are. I mean, the guys, yeah, the humans, the good guys, they're winning. Our family, the Oshiromiya family, they're actually winning. The demons, the witches, they're actually struggling right now. And I said earlier that what do you call this? That the end for this battle that they're having right now is kind of decided already. Like, we know what's gonna happen with this because they're demons, witches, right? Like, I know that they're like most likely they're gonna lose, but I'm gonna be super surprised if they win this battle here. It's gonna be so funny and so cool if they win. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. So we are gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry episode 4 in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.